Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to go over the song 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. I play this in my band AM station. I've done it a few times in FM station. And like about a year or 2 years ago when I had to learn the song, I went and watched a couple of videos of people playing it. And then I looked up the chords. And I'm like, I hear voicings that are different. And I hear more, I like what the electric guitar is playing more. So that's what I play on the electric and on the acoustic, regardless of which band I'm playing. And I thought I'd show those alternate chords that you wouldn't see otherwise on YouTube. I'm going to teach you the chords in the inversions that I'm using in the song here, and then I'll play it through. The very first time, it's only played once, the whole section, without a vocal. And the second time it's played with the vocal, and for the rest of the song it always has a vocal. And it's played a little differently with the vocal. So the first one I'm going to show you is without the vocal. And they're very similar, it's just the back end's a little differently. So the back end's a little different. So here we go. We have, now you can call this, I know they call it an E minor over G, because they don't want you to play the D, but it's really a G6 chord. And it's the inversion of, it's G, B, E, G. To a D6. Which is basically, just this and this. The A and the F sharp are played and the D and the B are open. So it's... The next two chords... Well, the first one is a C major 7, and I play this inversion where I bar 4 down, and then I use my ring finger and play the high B. So it's G, C, E, B for your C major 7. And the next chord is a B7 with a flat 9, and I play that here. A, D sharp, F sharp, C. Once in a while I think they even go, but for the most part it's, so all together it's, and again I'll call up those notes. It's 7th fret, well I'll tell you what they are, 7th fret, 8th fret, 7th fret, 8th fret, from 4th to 1st string. So again that's, the next chord is an E minor 7. The inversion I play is G, D, E, B. G, D, E, B. So I'm barring again. And there's a method to my madness why I use this inversion. First I hear this on the top. So it made sense that I play the chord like that. The chord following this is a D sharp diminished 7. Now the bass is playing the D sharp, which is going to give you the feel of the D sharp diminished 7, even though I'm playing the inversion of an F sharp diminished 7, because I'm playing it here. When the D sharp is in the bass, this chord then becomes the D sharp diminished 7, because we know diminished 7s are always a minor third apart, and the bass note really tells you what diminished chord you're playing. The issue with that is as long as the bass is playing the D sharp, it's right. I did a gig once. I played for this girl singer. It was a last minute gig. I played guitar, and her regular guitar player wanted to play bass. He went over to bass, so he played bass. And we were playing a song, and I lean up to him on stage. I'm like, am I playing the wrong chord? He goes, no, not at all. I go, well, then you are. Because he was playing a different bass note than the root should have been in the diminished. And we had a conversation. He was like, well, I was playing one of the other notes from the diminished chord. I have 4 notes to choose from. I said, no, because it changes the chord by the bass note, by the root. So it gives it a whole different sound, and I thought I was playing the wrong stuff. So anyways, I play it like an F sharp diminished. It's a D sharp diminished. And let's get it to that. All right. The next chord is basically like a B7 over the 5, over the F sharp. And I just bar from 4 down and put the 7 on the top. Because that's what it sounds like it's doing on the record. And then the next chord is a B7. I call it a B7 flat 13. Because you have a B7, F sharp, A, D sharp, and then the G. Now I've seen people write it out as a B7 augmented. It's not right because the F sharp isn't also in the chord. So if the F sharp is still in the chord, then the 5 is still the 5. So then this would have to be a flat 6. But since it's a 7 chord, I refer to it as a 7 flat 13. So that's how I would notate it, and you can see it notated on the bottom here. That's how I would notate that chord. And the bass on that is playing the B, actually. So now we get into the second half. Now this is where it's going to change without the vocal and with the vocal. So first I'll show you without the vocal. So here's how the second half goes. We start again with the G6 to the D6. To a C major 7, but I'm not going to play the bass notes, so I'm just playing, well, you can, but I just play it like this again, the same chord as the G6, but it's the C major 7 in the bass. This would be a rootless chord. To the B7 with a flat 9, but here I'm only playing it in the shape of a D sharp diminished, again because the bass is playing that B, making this a 7 sharp, a 7 flat 9. So it's and then E minor, same exact chord again. We're always pivoting to that chord. To a A minor 7, and then lift that first finger to make it E minor. So I'm going to play the whole thing. Well, let me just play that half first. And that's how the first half goes. So without the vocal, the first part. So I'm going to play it. Now once the vocal comes in, the front part is exactly the same. So this part is exactly the same. Here's what changes. G6, D6, C major 7, B7 flat 9, E minor 7, which was the one I showed you before. Here's the only new chord for you. A minor 7, which we just bar. All 4. And then E minor. So again, it's... So once the vocal starts, it's... And then it does that again. And then the second time, when it finishes, it goes to E minor to A minor. Then it kicks into the... Now this you can play in many ways. There's a lot going on. There's a guitar that's kind of just going... kind of doing that type of shuffly thing. Under the G, the bass is playing G to B flat to C and back to G, and that's the whole chorus. And so there's kind of like when we play it, my guitar player's doing like holding that G, and then there's a section too where the guitar's kind of going. So all kinds of stuff you can add in there. It's basically just, when I play it acoustically, I'm playing G, a G5 chord, to one with a B flat in the bass, to a C in the bass, and then sometimes I'll move these two fingers up one before. But that section is fairly simple. Anyways, those are all the chords to the song. I hope everything was easy. There's lots of people out there that teach the chords. I just feel like this is more of what's going on in that contrasting guitar that you can hear. And when I play it acoustically and use those chords, it sounds nicer, in my opinion, than playing just the chords that Paul Simon just plays when he's like, because he's playing like, the puzzle inside your head, she said to me, the answer's easy if you know, that type of thing. Take it logically, you know, that type of thing. He's playing it more simple. Yeah, I mean, it's a great song, and that Steve Gadd drum line is just killing it. I mean, it's just awesome. So any excuse I can get to listen to Steve Gadd play, I'll listen to it over and over. Anyways, very good.
That's kid stuff.
Kid stuff? Well, how about the tunes?
Dad's Brussels sprouts. I explained how to pan-fry them and told him how much balsamic vinegar, dried cherries, and prosciutto I used. And don't forget to top them with some grated Parmesan cheese and a little lemon zest.
You're right on target.
Right on the money. Everything you said.
You hit the nail right on the head with your comments, what you're saying today.
You're 150% correct.